Good morning, Bears. How are we today? It is a fine morning. And I'm glad to be with you once again. Welcome to the Big Drum Bear Podcast on this Wednesday morning. Vimeo, right? Mofo Nature Bear's cracking me up. So, today's episode, for those of you who have seen the description and otherwise, realize that I'm making some reference to an event that occurred last night, and I thought it would be worthwhile to spend a little time discussing that. I know Davy Crocco, those of you that don't subscribe to Davy Crocco's channel, be sure to go check that out because he makes some great stuff. He's a wonderful guy. Hang on, tilting my camera view down a little bit. Gotta check out Davy's stuff because he's always good. Hey, Texas Rose, Andrew J, David Analog Bear, Mofo Nature Bears are here. Andrew J, Glampin. I said Andrew J already. Let's see, J Ren. Yeah, I did get your emails, man. I just haven't had a chance to sit and read them. I appreciate that. I did see a little bit of one in a preview, and it was saying you're offering running advice. I appreciate that. That's really cool. But I'll definitely have to catch up with you. No worries about sending more than one. I just haven't had a chance to read anything much yet. I been plenty busy here. Who else is in here? It's really just Andrew Bergen is also in here. So, and then Lipsnake. If I didn't say Lipsnake, I thought I did. It was probably right after J-Ren, and that's why I didn't get it. So, Lipsnake's in here. And I got your messages recently, too, and I was wanting to talk with you, but I've just been, like I aforementioned, a little busy. little otherwise occupied with life, shall we say. But thanks, everybody, for showing up. It's pretty cool. Today's not going to be a long show. We're going to get in and out today. Just wanted to discuss a few things related to the lack of YouTube that occurred last night. That was a little odd, and I'm sure people have all kinds of various theories about what went down there. But we were without it for a period of time, and I believe I caught some of Feel the Bear's stream from last night. It even interrupted his stream, so that's a little interesting. But yeah, I ended up just coming on the Hangouts for a minute and checking with a few people to see, hey, was it just me? Because I thought maybe it was just me. It was really weird. And thankfully I was shown that was not the case. But yeah, YouTube, Mofo Nature Bear, YouTube was down, like legitimately down. And I'm trying to think now. They even talked about it on Twitter, some other places. Is that like supposed to be a song? Is that what you're doing, Mayor? Doobie Brothers, gotcha. I should know that. NPC stuff, you think so? You think so? I've heard some people say that, Keto Bear. I've seen some tweets regarding that. Well, it got me thinking, because Davy Crocco put a video out regarding this a little bit, and seeing Feel the Bear stream interrupted by it was also interesting. It just got me thinking, what could we, I know multiple other people have probably already talked about it, but it occurred to me to maybe bring it up a little bit and say, what could we be doing to perhaps practice certain arts? Hey, Kika, good morning. And Keto, if I didn't say you, good morning. Texas Rose, if I didn't say you, good morning. I meant to. Let's see here. I'm losing my train of thought. I want to get back to it. Yeah, here you go. So what could we be doing to get back to methods of communication a little bit that we're probably not as accustomed to doing in this modern time? Like letter writing people letters, or carrier pigeons? No, well, people do that. People do still do the carrier pigeon thing. Oddly enough, there's this little subculture that enjoys that kind of thing. Well, only if you're Elizabeth Warren, Robot Bear. And then you probably wouldn't know how they mean. Would be able to read them. You might understand 1/1024th of the smoke signal that you're seeing. That would be about as far as you could go. By the way, if any of you follow, passing notes in class, Get Texas Rose, that's old school right there. I love it. If any of you follow any of Crowder's people on Twitter, Quarter Black Garrett actually changed like the header of his Twitter feed or his Twitter name to 1/1024th Black Garrett. I was dying when I saw that. It was like, that's high level grade A trolling, right? James Woods also posted some good stuff. He posted a, like the last tweet, Elizabeth Warren ever sent. It was smoke signals. So good, man. It's so great. I was just cracking up at that stuff. But as much joy. Hey, Honky, welcome. Debbie, welcome. As much joy and amusement that we get from the ridiculosity on the internet. Yeah, 1/2020 of this troll here. Robot Bear's killing me, man. Hey, Texas Rose, don't feel bad about that. Enjoy not having social media. You're probably in a better place than a lot of us. There are those of us like myself, like Field Bears and others, Owen, who use social media platforms for our livelihood a little bit, right? We're trying to more and more develop some degrees of interactivity with people over the internet so that we can have a functioning career in the arts. And it's great for that. It's really, really useful in that way. Mayor, I barely use Facebook. I mean, I use the Messenger, but I don't post all that often. I don't do it anymore. So those of you that bought the chunk t-shirts, I put Snapchat on there. I've used Snapchat twice. I've made 2 Snapchats. That's been it. Maybe I'll do it again, but I haven't been that interested. I should have waited until I had a Twitter account and put that on there, but I'm interested in brainstorming on this. Like, obviously the main thing that comes to mind is letters, possibly phones, and those have their limitations. They're less efficient. But I think the writing thing is what gets me. If there's a way to do like letter writing, and obviously you've got to do all that through the USPS or some other privately owned, you're good. Field of Bears, good morning to you. Sorry your show got interrupted last night. I was talking about that a bit. It's of interest to me to brainstorm on this and think about a method for us to build our communication skills in written form again. Because I don't think we tend to do that as often as we'd like. Also, some kind of we use Hangouts, right? And that's pretty efficient. It works well, and it's a good thing to do. I wonder if... Yes, best answers. Welcome. Yes, I'm a baldy. It does happen. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I would like to establish or at least brainstorm about ways to engage with one another in other forms of communication, where if this kind of thing happens, doesn't mean that we're abandoning all the, digital age stuff. That's obviously not what I mean. But what I am saying is that it would probably be wise to have a backup that we're well trained in, right? Have another method where we don't just think of it as simply a backup either. We try to keep some form of connection with the ways that people have communicated with each other for the majority of the existence of society, right, of any society. Writing going back even into Sumerian days with cuneiform. When I was in Iraq back in 2004, no, I'm sorry, it was 8. I think it was early 2008. I had a chance to go down to the Ur of the Chaldees, what was formerly known as the Ur of the Chaldees. Now it was a place called Talil. And there was a ziggurat located outside, just outside the base there. And at this ziggurat, we were taken on a tour of these ruins that were all throughout that area. We played a ceremony there. I was with the band at that time. We played a ceremony for a unit who was leaving and another unit that was coming in to take their place. Yeah. Mom got me this a while back, and it's one of my favorites. It's cold today, and I'm down in the basement, so I figured I'm going Star Trek hoodie. Had to rock that. Cowboy Bear, welcome, by the way. Glad you're here. Yeah, we played this ceremony with some special music there with the ceremonial group, a collection of us musicians. And then afterward, a bunch of us folks that were there got taken on a tour through, check out the ziggurat. We could go walk up the steps that led us up to the top and have a look around. But we were also given the opportunity to look at some of the other structures that were in the neighborhood, so to speak, there. And at one point, we saw ruins that had been unearthed a while back that had actual cuneiform writing on them. And this was from that time period. This structure probably existed contemporaneously with Abraham, because just up over the hill rise was the remains of the house of Abraham when he lived with his father Terah before moving on to Canaan. So he lived in this land here in Ur of the Chaldees for a good portion of his life. I think till he was about 70 or so. I might have that wrong. Until they moved, and they stopped halfway on their way to Canaan. They didn't get all the way there. I think they stayed in Haran for a period of time, according to the account in Genesis about that, until his father died, and his father was buried in Haran. Terah was. And then they eventually moved on. But what was unearthed was this massive, massive structure. I mean, and only half of it was unearthed. There was probably plenty more, maybe more than half, that was still not unearthed. But this guy was not a chump. He was probably one of the wealthiest people on the planet Earth at that time. Abraham. My name's slipping from my mind here. Abraham was not a Jew. You're correct, Honky. That is accurate. He was just a Gentile dude. He was just a guy. There wasn't even such a thing as a Gentile at that point. There was no distinction. So he had this amazing place to live there, just down the street from the ziggurat. And yeah, there were stones that had been unearthed in the tombs or near the tombs of the monarchs from that day in that region. And they had this cuneiform writing on it. It was probably that stuff, that writing and that stonework, whatever it be, probably predated Abraham. That was probably around even before him. So people have been communicating through symbols to mean different things for a long time. And we do it, but we do it digitally now, more often than not. And I find that my skills at not doing it digitally are weak. And I think that's probably not good. You know, I had a teacher when I was in college, going back from my music degree, and she said that handwriting things is actually extremely good for you because the act of writing, the act of taking a writing utensil and putting things down on paper allows the things that you're writing to be recorded in memory by another means. You're not just doing it by visual input. You're not just doing it by oral input. You're also doing it by touch, right? You're combining all of those different things. Your motor neurons are understanding the motions you need to take. First, your brain has to send the signals to take that information that's in your brain, transmit it through your motor neurons, down your arm, and into the hand that's holding the writing utensil to move it appropriately, right? Like your hand, all the signals that your body's sending is not, just make the words. It's like you're actually sending signals to each little appendage here to move the muscles in such a way coordinatedly to hold that utensil and move it in the shapes that will create those letters. It's the utensil that actually leaves that graphite or ink, whatever, if you're using a pen, on the paper with that information. But it's an amazing thing to think about the process of transmitting information from up here onto there. And then to remember that which you wrote down, right? By visually observing it, by hearing you read it out loud, the process of actually reading, and then by the sense of touch on that thing, right? Hey, Branson, what's happening, guys? Welcome, Branson. By the way, he's going to get a wrench up in here. Branson, you are officially a moderator in the channel. Nobody can silence you. You can say what you'll say. Branson is one of the other worship team members at my church. He's a good guy. He's a good cat. So welcome him. He's an interesting dude. I love that guy. He's also a Crowder fan. And because of me, he became an Owen fan. At least mildly. I actually showed him the Panisse skit like before we went on to play worship set. Oh, good morning, Steve. Welcome, man. Everybody. Big Riggin, you're up in here too. That's good stuff. Good to see you. So we're talking a little bit about with the YouTube dropout last night. For those of you that didn't hear, what other forms of communication are we perhaps a little weaker in that we could be building on, that we could develop in? And how could that help us? How could that help better us? Because all of the guys that penned our Constitution, all of the founding fathers, they knew how to write very, very well. They were exceptionally intelligent, and they were doing it with a feather quill. They were dipping it in ink, and it was way less efficient than what we have. And they wrote one of the most important documents of all time, without which we'd probably already have greater tyranny than we could imagine. Plenty of other countries don't have. Sorry, my nose is a little funny today. Probably the weather getting worse. Yes, I'm a Trekkie nerd. We prefer the term Trekor. It is the actual term that is in the Oxford Dictionary at this point in time, to my knowledge. So get it right, or I'll go Klingon on your behind. No, I'm not going to do that. It's warm. It's a hoodie. I feel warmer. Oh, cool, Texas Rose. Do your thing. Yes, I can read and write. Nice. Very nice. I wanted to consider some of these things and think about, could there be a system that we develop of non-digital communication with one another, non-email, just snail mail stuff, that maybe we have like a, maybe we as bears have a periodic sharing of letters. Somehow maybe we even carbon copy, as we send it to one another. Might increase our carbon footprint. Not that. But it would be interesting to find systems that we could develop of communicating with bears at large. Even if we had to use a little technology to get it going, maybe some photocopiage, some of us would be willing to try and send group letters to the bears at different times. How cool would it be to have a physical letter in your hand, right? Like, I think it's probably one of the cooler things to see too, when Owen shares that with us on his show, that he gets packages like that light. I don't know who made that light thing behind him that's got the Bears emblem and everything, in Bears We Trust, or I can't remember what it said. That's one of the coolest stinking things I've ever seen. And it's got to be so cool for him to get physical things from time to time. Oh, the David Crowder tune? Yes, I did see that, Honky Bear. That is one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. I'm definitely a fan. And if I, by the way, guys, that's the thing. If I don't respond to you on social media right away, it's not personal. I don't have the numbers that Owen has by any means. But I definitely can get busy. I'm not flying to Texas to be on Crowder, which he was last night, by the way, and will be again throughout this week. And I think they're going up to do that show here at the end of the month in Michigan, which should be pretty awesome. But oh, and I wonder if Owen's going to be there for JBP coming on this week. I wonder if that's part of why Crowder had him come down. Like if they're good buddies together, and I'm wondering if Crowder wanted him to be a part of that, to be able to talk with Peterson when they have him on at some point anyway, because Steven knows how deeply, Owen was affected by that stuff, and Owen will have some worthwhile things to say. Well, I don't. Usually in the interviews, it's just Steven and the person if they're doing it over phone, but just some thoughts. It'd be really cool if JPP was there and then they could all talk it out. That'd be a big deal. I definitely love to see it if the two of them could actually talk face to face, and someone as articulate and passionate as Owen could voice just what he'd felt to Peterson. Because I don't know if Peterson's had that. I don't know if he's had that opportunity to receive that from anybody in his circle. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I don't know. Enough about the Peterson stuff. I don't want to dig into that again. I've done that plenty recently. But another thing that would be of interest is radio, like either CB or some other kind of AM band. I don't know what. I know there's FCC guidelines for radio transmissions, but it would be interesting to have like a little Bears radio network on actual FM band or something like that. It's so less efficient, but it's redundancy, right? To be able to have these different kinds of things is redundancy. Yeah, ham radio type stuff. That's what I'm thinking of. It would just be really neat to investigate having some of these different avenues available to us and for us to be well practiced in them. Because I suspect not only are we going to always feel like we have a method of communication to reach out to one another in case one of these others ever goes down for whatever reason. I mean, yeah, was YouTube going down last night a short little thing? Of course. But it's something that can happen, and it's not under our control. You know what I mean? It's much less within our hands. So like with letters, even the possibility of people sharing communications across like letter delivery that's not necessarily USPS or even UPS or FedEx or any of the other sources out there, DHL or who knows what you might want to use. It would be interesting if we had like a messenger bear network or something like that. Hey, beautiful lady Peoria dogs. Ham radio's not kosher. That's my wife for the win right there. That's awesome. That's so good. Oh, you're killing me. That's why I married her, guys. She's hilarious. So funny. She's pretty beautiful as well. I'm a fan. Pay for my stamps. Okay, that's second best right there. That's very good. My beautiful lady's out walking dogs today. I'm going to be going and helping her out a little bit, getting a couple dogs taken care of. By the way, right now, thought I should mention it. I am enjoying a nice cup of coffee here in my Pinder's Ugly mug. Get yourself one today. They're fantastic. They have improved the flavor of my coffee by causing it to be just a little bit more kosher. They have improved the richness of the coffee by the shekel residue that rubs off and mixes into the beverage. I think there is a little bit of gelatin residue that might have also been used in the creation of this mug. Just a little bit of gelatin, right? Because if you're going to have a gelate, you want that to glisten in the sunlight, right? And when you stand before the presence of the Almighty, right, that's going to be pretty brilliant. So your gelatin could, when reflecting the light of the Almighty, could be used as that mechanism to blind your enemies that are coming from behind you, right? So you can keep your eyes on the Lord, but your gelate back here is blinding those that would be attacking you, right? Because of the holiness that you are pursuing in the Almighty. So let that be a lesson to you. Grow your gelates. Get your gelatin coated Pinder's Ugly mug. Gelatin coating not included. And enjoy. Now, I don't mean Charlie Sheen, right? Winning, though some people think he is, the true winning is the gelatin-coated Pinder's Ugly mug. But we'll save that for another time. Yeah, Charlie Sheen's got tiger blood. He's got the blood of Christ. And let that be a lesson to you. Good morning, Barry Happy. Oh my gosh, you guys are killing me. Kicky Mart says she has tiger blood. That's funny. All right, so just some thoughts here. Start here for ham radio tech license. Ooh, interesting. It'd be worthwhile figuring out what we need to do. Charlie Sheen on the back of your neck would be unsettling, Mayor. Hey, Harold. Harold Greenham in the house, everybody. Yeah, we were just being a little goofball. I don't know how long ago you got here, but my good friend, one of our bears here, Steve Pinder, 1911 Bear, he has his Pinder's Ugly mug available from teespring.com. You can pick yours up today. And Pinder is Jewish by background a little bit, I guess, in upbringing. And he also has a bit of a mullet that curls up in the back, so he calls it his Jew mullet or gullet, for those of you that are not initiated into that. And since I now own the Steve Pinder's Ugly mug, I was just giving it a little plug and saying that not only does it have shekel residue on the insides to help every sip feel richer, but it also has a coating of gelatin that will cause you to grow the shiniest of gelates. And the glory of the Lord reflecting off of it will blind the enemies that attack you from behind. So let's make sure that we we drink up. But I missed it on a journey. I didn't see what you said. Do I feel more handsome? I'll have to go back and look on a journey. Do I feel more handsome? I'm working on it. It's hard to compete. It's hard to compete with that. You know, there's something about the ugly. You know, it's difficult. And then, of course, there's the handsome mug from Field of Bears. You might want to check that out at redbubble.com. And there are various sizes as well of these mugs. You know, you have your standard, you have your large, and you have your travel. So consider all of them. I don't know if Steve's comes in a travel or not, but it's worth looking into. Lots of good stuff out there. It's on a journey. Let's see here. Don't know what else. I'm behind in the chat, so I'll just keep going. Let's see here. Oh, defeating extremists. Well, I was mostly being silly, but as far as the communication thing, it might be a useful deal. Having other methods of interaction that are not totally tied to Bacon's. We used to joke about that. I knew some guys in the military who used to make jokes about that kind of thing. I'm not a fan of that myself. You know, it's like, it's not just an Islamic thing to not like pork. You know, it's a Jewish thing for various reasons, and it's also a messianic thing, or those that lean toward the positive benefits. Again, not as a salvific issue for living life. They lean toward the. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. They lean toward the some of the parts of the Hebrew scriptures and the Torah as seeing them as beneficial in your living. And we all do if we're Christians. I mean, we have what we call the 10 Commandments, which are really just summaries of the larger body of instructions in the Torah. It's like subgroupings of what the different individual laws were. They all fit into those different subcategories. And Jesus himself telling us that all these, upon these, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Upon those two things hang all the law and the prophets, right? That without those two things, you wouldn't have all the rest. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the pig anymore. I used to love myself a pepperoni sausage pizza, let me tell you, but I kind of let it go. Oh, Honky, we'd have a conversation about Pete's Dream in a heartbeat, you know, and I used to read it the way that most people read it. I understand it differently, and it's like I'm looking at myself thinking, how in the world did I ever understand it differently than I do now, right? But yeah, not to have a big debate or controversy here. That's not what I'm trying to build up. I'm just sharing thoughts. I don't expect everybody to have the same views that I do. But yeah, I let go of certain things because I enjoy some of the things that came with it. I love God Almighty for what he did for me. I'm saved by the blood of Christ, and I will not have it any other way, period. Nothing I could say, do, or think will ever change that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the pig stuff. I never really have enjoyed it for the last 10 or so years. That's the big thing I was talking about. Not a fan. And I'm not a fan of what they eat. I like to eat things that I like what they eat. So that's what that comes down to. Maybe there's something else like that we could put on the bullets. That was, I think, what I was getting at. That was my bigger point, right? Yes, that's very true. And we ought not, and Harold knows what I'm talking about, right? And I would not judge anybody else that does differently, right? I don't know everything. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. Yeah, I know it's almost heretical in our culture to say I don't want bacon, right? It's a rough deal. I wasn't planning on going there today at all, and I'm probably going to steer away from that right now because my main focus, it's me, yeah, there's no penalty for restricting diets. It's like, I know I'm not, Harold's exactly right. I'm not saved based upon that kind of thing. It's just, I'm not a fan of the pig. I'm not at all. And if God already told us long ago, hey, it's probably not. It's not a great thing. There's plenty of other things to eat. And I'm okay with that, you know. They just happen to coincide there very nicely. So, what was I saying? Communication. Practicing our writing. You know, Harold Green, I'm glad you're here because there's something you taught me a while back. You taught me when you were teaching us theory. I remember Allison and Randy and myself and you were working together before I started going back to school together. I'm mixing my words. Before I started going back to school for my music degree, the four of us were together working on theory. That's what I'm trying to say. And I believe you had us handwriting things out on staff paper. And somebody, maybe it was Allison, asked, you know, like, well, why would we want to do the writing on staff paper? Wouldn't we normally be doing this stuff on a computer? And you were like, actually, I handwrite charts all the time. And I'm better and better and better at it because I continually practice it. Like, yeah, I can handwrite charts out really, really quickly. And sometimes it's way more efficient to just do that. And I thought about that a lot. And I've not cultivated it to the point that I wish I had, but I see the value in getting better at the simpler ways of doing things. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's probably going to be plenty of occasions where being able to improve your quality of handwriting is going to be beneficial to you in more ways than just doing it that way and not having to use YouTube or Twitter or email. Being able to communicate with people in a written form is probably one of the most useful skills I could imagine us having. And it also will be a conduit for growing our brain capacity, like growing our ability to deal with complex subjects and issues in a much more structured way. It's also going to be a method for us to expand our creativity, right? To fuel it. I find that when I handwrite lyrical ideas and such, that's really, really useful for me. One of my sons last night when I had them over, he was showing me his sketchbook. You're killing me on a journey. You're cracking me up. My son was showing me his sketchbook of different creatures and characters that he'd created in just drawing and coloring. And I thought, boy, it is so wonderful to see him doing things that are not always connected to the computer. Again, not that this is bad, right? We can make use of this. It's super, super helpful. But I don't want to be dependent on it. I don't want to be so connected to it that it interrupts my life if YouTube is down. And my reaction to that last night was what bothered me. Honky Bear says, I retaught myself cursive several years ago. Literally used a cursive alphabet printout and began using it in my nursing notes. Dude, that's fantastic. That's excellent. See, there's something that we learn through the process of doing handwriting that helps our cognitive development. And I think that with the advent of technology to the degree that it is now, developed to the degree that it is, I think that's what I meant to say. We lose track of doing some of these kinds of things that are good for us because it's so much easier to do other stuff. So I would suggest to you, it would be worthwhile to take some time, engage your writing capabilities, look at them, compare them to other people's writing that are really good at it and say, okay, I'm not that good, but that is a goal. That's a target to have better, like more well-written, more readable writing, to have better structured thoughts on paper, to perhaps get more artistic with it, more creative, put more flair into it, more ornamentation into the way I write, maybe relearn cursive, whatever you want to do. And I think for the Bears as a community, it would be really cool to have a periodic communication in writing with one another, right? Maybe we have a chain that we send around, not like old school chain letters per se, but like one that we've all agreed to, right? We could agree to it online. We could decide that here and then go into the process of how would we go about communicating with one another in an organized fashion, not online. What did Best Answer say? What did he say? The first city to fall in San Francisco. Killing me, guys. All right, Barry Happy says, cursive helps students who have dysgraphia if it is caught early enough. Not learning it in school is a disservice to those kids, your son included. Guys, this is why I say go check out Barry Happy's channel, right? She has all kinds of really interesting knowledge, and she'll talk about that from time to time. I encourage more people go check her out. You know, and I'm more than happy to plug you. More than happy to plug you guys. In fact, there's another person I got to plug here too, which is not necessarily on this topic, but somebody who just subbed me, I think the other day, who'd heard about me from Owen's stuff. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to recycle my email because I know I just got the emails. It might have been to my study and time email. That's probably what it was. Yeah, I think that's what happened. And I think you're in here today, or at least you were. Hang on a second. I got to pull up that email that I just got. Yeah. Danny. You got to check out Danny, man. He's what's up. All right. I'm going to pull up the link for his channel real quick. And let's see here. He sent me some really cool stuff. Okay. So here's Danny Bauer's channel. And you're going to want to check it because he did some funny things, but then he's also got stuff on Spotify. He's got a band called, let's see, what's his band called? Oh, Fiddle Bumbers. Yeah, I say Fiddle Bumbers sometimes. That's how old I am. I don't even know if anybody ever said that. By the way, I don't see a thing you guys are saying or doing right now. I'm officially not seeing the chat. Hang on a second. My jacket don't fit. He sent me a copy of that tune. I really just want to get the channel link. Oh, it's right there. See, I forget that I'm in I'm in, what do you call this? A regular computer. Get a bear language. Oh, that would be cool. That would be interesting. Here's Danny Bauer's channel, by the way, people. Go check that out because it's worth checking. Bingo. Just drop that in the chat. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if they're in the channel. Are in the chat right now, Barry. I've done that, but I didn't know if they were in the chat at the moment, so I thought I'd drop the link. But yeah, feel free to check out Danny Bauer because he has some good music. And then yeah, I just wanted to plug him because I said I'd do it. But Barry Happy, definitely check her out. And there's been a few people that I've seen doing some cool stuff. I talked about Davey Crocco, and he's been getting better and better. Really enjoyed seeing what he's up to. Also, Master Zelox. Master Zelox has been putting out some new videos. So he's the furry guy that was on Crowder's show a while back, a few months ago. So you're going to want to check out what he's had to say recently because he's been talking about some sort of a Twitter debacle that's been going on in the furry community and how it's definitely indicative of some really far left and crazy behavior that's rather unfortunate. But he's very, very specific in the way he discusses it. He's very, very metered, right? And I love that he sticks this little clip at the end of his videos that wasn't included in the Crowder interview. It happened after they were off air. And Crowder was like, all right, yeah, take care. And they're breaking down that connection on Skype. It's like, that's a smart dude who's into some weird crap, you know? Which is really funny. And, you know, it's like he gets it about himself and he just parties with that, you know? And I agree. I'm not a furry, nor will I be. I've had furries come to my channel and I welcome them to join. Is BDB a furry? But this guy's pretty interesting, you know, worthwhile checking out. And he's trying to fight a fight. So yeah, feel free to check out his content and see if you can understand some of the relevance as to what's happening right now. Everybody's trying to get me to own up right now. No, I'm sorry. I don't have a furry mask. I have other types of masks, or a type of mask, but that's because I'm in the military and we all are required to carry one. Let's see here. David and Steven Crowder together. That would be pretty funny, Honky. Do Klingons qualify as furries? No, but I think tribbles do. If anybody gets that. Yeah, there were some weird furry aliens on Star Trek. I just can't think of a lot of them now. That's funny though. They're pretty hairy folk. I'm not sure. At any rate, Ewoks or Wookiees, they would count as furries, right? If you go Star Wars route, right? But yeah, we've had an interesting talk. I'm going to cut it short today. I'm not going to have a super long show today. 45 minutes or so is good. And I'm really grateful for everybody dropping by and taking a listen. But let's talk about this and hang out at some point. Let's further this idea between each other and see if we couldn't develop like I'm just spitballing ideas, right? Let's see if we couldn't create like a messaging stream or a messaging chain, right? That we could do by snail mail. And it would be interesting. Maybe there'd be like a bear newsletter. Somebody has a bear newsletter from time to time that we can include things. You could send everything to one individual and then get everybody on a bear mailing list so they could receive a typical monthly update. You know, newsletters, that's kind of the thing that's been done. You could do other more fun things that are like the chain of letters, you know, that go from one person to another. And you could have an alternate chain, all sorts of fun little things you could do with this stuff. But maybe we could do it within our own viewership, you know, which of course grows continually. And of course, you're going to have to have a physical address to send it to, so that could get a little weird. Maybe you could pick up a P.O. box, or you could just have a place you want it sent that, you know, if you don't want to dox your own actual address, which I totally understand. And I, for one, would never put out actual physical address information on here. So that's not something you want to do. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, exactly. We could write to Boulder in jail. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I bet he would appreciate the heck out of that too. I bet he definitely would. Yeah, we might have to make that happen. Maybe we could all include photographs of something funny, you know, like a bunch of us wearing our chunk shirts, or a bunch of people enjoying their Pinder's Ugly mug together, you know, or well, just like a whole bunch of individual pictures of that sort of thing. Granted, you can send all that online. It can be done instantly, but it's something else to get physical things, right? It's worth considering. So, at any hoot, just some thoughts. Love to talk more about that later. I have some stuff to catch up on with a bunch of different bears, and I'll be trying to do that over the next several days. We'll see. If I don't get you right away, it's nothing personal, but hopefully we can. We're so used to quick responses, right? We're very used to things happening very fast. So I wonder if it wouldn't be a good thing for our growth of patience as well, to practice more of the slower forms of communication a little bit more often. A lot of different benefits I see in this. Do I have 6 packs? I don't know what you refer to on a journey. 6 packs of what? I don't smoke, so it wouldn't be cigarettes. I don't currently have any alcoholic beverage in the home, and whenever I do, I don't usually go for the 6-pack. I'm much more a fan of a 4 if I do. A 4 pints once in a while, and just I take them in sparingly. Let's see, Honky saying, asking if he's on Instagram. No, exercise guide. Like the actual, no, I do not. I don't have that. That is not something I currently have. You know, it would be interesting too, now that I think about it. I'm thinking of Paul Joseph Watson, and PJW's got a map behind him often. And I think somebody put a digital version of it out at one point. It would be cool to have like a physical version of that somewhere here. Yeah, we all have 6 packs under the fat. Exactly, David. It'd be cool to have a map and then get like locations of bears, like in general, right? Like have a map that shows little push pins on it of bear locations. And then it would be neat to see like how far apart do certain bears live, right? Could certain bears like meet in the middle somewhere and pass bear letters to one another? And we have like a bear network all over the place, a physical delivery, right? Just an interesting thought, ways to go even outside USPS. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. But something that would be worthwhile and interesting to coordinate. You know, how well could we pass? Where are there big gaps of bears, you know, in the community? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is something that needs to go in the cave. You know, maybe this is something that needs to be pushed up to Coddington and put in the cave. Could be an interesting deal to discuss, but just a thought. Yeah, I've seen it, Kick Ya. I've seen the bear map. It's not a cult, guys. It's totally not a cult. But it's just good ways for folks to connect, you know. Aaron Shinder. Follow Aaron Shinder. I might have to do that on a journey. I'll have to check him out. Aaron Shinder. Aaron Shinder. YouTube. Oh, there's Gita barking. She's a barking puppy. I might have to go tend to that. Yeah, I put it in YouTube to look for it, so I'll have to find that. He studies law. Okay, cool. How do you get in the cave? There's a way, and I forget. I've had access, and I forget the actual website. There's a link to it somewhere. Well, go check out Coddington's channel, because I know he's had videos to it, and he's talked about how do you get in there. Very happy. When they go digital, we go hard copy. That's essentially what I'm talking about today. That's very true. That's so funny. Wow. Just thinking, guys. It could be fun. It could be interesting. It takes work, though. It's not easy. I just saw like pictures of John Goodman recently and how much weight he's lost. And it's been ridiculous how much he lost. Because I'm so used to seeing John Goodman as a really heavy dude, you know, and he's dropped a lot. And then I thought back to Penn Jillette, the magician, who also went through that kind of a transformation. Had to for health reasons, big time. And Penn, when I looked at Penn talking about that, it was real interesting because I mean, there's a video out there of him specifically talking about his weight loss, and that it was really, it was put to him that it was not going to be easy. It was going to be really, really hard. For him, it wasn't a vanity thing. It wasn't like, I just want to look good, at least the way he talked about it. It's like, it became a health risk. And, you know, he's got younger children because he didn't start having kids till he was 50. So he started thinking about this. It's like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. And he was told, because he was well over 300. He was way up there in the 300s. And he was told, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a really difficult thing. He was like, that was it for me. That was my motivation, because if it's going to be tough, I'm going to do it. If it's going to be a challenge, I'll do it. You know, if it's going to be like, oh, this could be pretty easy, then I probably wouldn't be that motivated. But the fact that it was going to be a challenge, it was going to be hard, be like, well, let's do it. He's a magician. He's constantly looking for ways to do things that are not easy to pull off, to make it look like he did something that he didn't really do, but make sure everybody around him thinks that that's what he did, or doesn't know whether or not he really did it, right? That's his whole thing, to devise ways that make that work. That's hard. That's a difficult thing. And so he's interested in those kinds of challenges, and he took it on. He definitely took it on. I'm not that kind of person. I don't usually stand up to things that are going to be hard. Like, it's not my nature to usually stand up and do that. Well, I have to make myself, I have to really work hard to figure out what my motivations are to get something accomplished. And it might take me a little bit longer than the average person, but I know that about myself. Methuselah Steve, you guys are killing me back there. I just glance at the chat once in a while and I'd say funny stuff. Yeah, I think about this whole endeavor, this idea with analog bears, right? It's essentially what I'm talking about, going analog with this stuff, or going non-digital. At least having it in our toolbox, right? Having it readily available could be worthwhile. Just thinking. So, yeah. Think about what things we could do to communicate with each other in ways where we're not dependent on this technology all the time. And have fun with it. Make it interesting. Share it with each other, right? I'm excited to see what that could generate for this community and for others that we know in our lives. I mean, it's not just about the bears. It is, but that's what we're doing. We're bears, right? This is what we do. We get together and we have these podcasts and we have fun. But we're also in life with plenty of people that are not part of this community, that don't know what it's all about, that don't understand any of this stuff. And that's fine. That's real life. Most people are not part of this community, and that's cool. That's totally great. But within it, are we learning to be better members of the communities that we're a part of, right? Better people in our families, better husbands and fathers. I know I fail a lot, and sometimes I talk about that with you guys, that I fail on things like that, and I don't want to fail. I feel like I fail my wife and my kids often, regularly. I do things that screw stuff up, and I come here and I get encouragement, right? I share things with you guys about stuff where I'm not cutting the mustard, and I want to get better, and I want to share things with you guys to encourage you to get better in what you're doing. Hopefully this is a tool. This whole idea that I'm spitballing here today is a useful tool to you to want to get better at different things in your life, to better thinking, better behavior, better strategizing about life, and how to do it in a way that helps you reduce the suffering of yourself and others around you better. Well, I hope you go forward today and Spend some time exercising your right to write. Get it rocking, man. See what things you can do. And I've been encouraged for a while. I need to handwrite musical stuff out, like transcriptions, just analyses of songs that are favorites of mine to get better at understanding what I'm listening to and conceptualizing it better. And this is a great way, the physical writing of this stuff out. So do that with people that you care about today. Write them a note. Do something where you engage your mind, your body, your heart, and you seek to serve the ultimate purpose all throughout it. Bears, I love you. I will see you soon. Peace to all of y'all. Wait a second. He's not gone? Why isn't he gone? Doesn't he know the show's over? I thought one other thing that I wanted to encourage you with before I go. Sometimes I like these little Easter eggs that I tuck in there, these little hidden things at the end. Some quotes that I had found that I'd written down for myself a while back. Useful little quotes that you should take with you. He's a wealthy landowner. He became a wealthy landowner over time. A guy named Jack A. Simplot. S-I-M-P-L-O-T. Jack A. Simplot. He said, get a hold of something and just hang on. He's probably one of the most wealthy people over time. Not the most wealthy, but he did pretty darn well. In fact, he would go out hunting land, finding land to purchase. And he owned so much at one point that he was going by helicopter, looking at land to purchase. They landed in a field. They thought, let's go talk to the people that live here, see if we could buy it. Turns out he already owned that field. It was already one of his. So you never know what you can do if you just get a hold of something and just hang on. It's something that encourages me a little bit when I remember this. Thomas Jefferson had to say, never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. That's a Thomas Jefferson quote. Apparently it was attributed to him. And then, of course, you have the words of Solomon, quite likely King Solomon of ancient Egypt. This comes from the New King James Version of Proverbs 6:6. Don't read into that too much. But go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. And I think that Jesus, or Yeshua, as some of us refer to him, his mom, whatever referred to him, he spoke that same thing to his disciples at one point, reminisced on that same point. But I thought it was useful. I wrote these down. I wrote these thoughts down on staff paper a few years ago. And in cleaning and trying to reorganize, I happen to refine these things, right? Refine. I come across them again. And I'm going to keep this in a place where it regularly inspires me. Just a thought. Even writing down stuff of inspiration to motivate you might not be a bad idea. Start with the simple, right? Grab a hold of something and just hang on. All right, Bears. Have a good one. Peace.